Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, are we sort of cranked over? No, I think that's good, isn't it? Okay. If you're wondering about my hair, it's we've had like the rainiest, most glorious, beautiful spring in. Last one I remember like this, I was in high school, but I think this one exceeds it.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's like, honest to God, a British summer. It's really something.
It's very wet.
So anyway, my hair is
Frizzy.
It's true. Doggus, what do you want?
Um.
You should go sit in your chair.
Well.
I'm not going to spend the whole video scritching you. He'll just stand here the whole video. He'll just stand here and turn around as he always does. I'll start with his head, and the next thing you know, you look down and you're scritching his butt. He does it every time without variation. Well, you know, that's all well and good. So anyway, it's damp here, which is fun. Doesn't happen often.
Damn, I feel low energy.
I don't know. I feel okay. It's just one of those things. Found some great rocks today.
I found a bunny with its head ripped off in my backyard and a skinned squirrel.
Yeah, and we think Kraken was horribly menaced by something because we got her inside and she had mud all over her. And we finally got her cleaned up and she slept for like a day.
So I think a fox got in our backyard.
I think so. We think a fox got into the backyard. It's very exciting. So what do you say there, Lady Bird?
I say let us do wrist check.
Oh, that's a very good idea. All right, what do we got?
We have this watch.
It's a 6105 6000. It was the first 6105 dress watch I ever brought in. That was a great junk watch lot. Wow, I got some just stunners out of that one. But I serviced this for Sabrina, and it's on her wrist. She actually really likes it.
And I like this dirty old strap.
Okay, let's change places. Can you hold this for me, please?
Oh, I was going to go get the cat to stop eating dog food.
I am wearing my ANH 6105. It's my custom-built, self-built piece. I built it out of parts. And, oh, no, not this one. I bought this one on eBay. Sorry. I bought this one on eBay, and it had gone through a Seiko service center. This 6309 handset is a service handset, and I left it. I thought it was great, and I prefer this handset. Okay, that's it. Well, I will have loved the watch that you're wearing since we already made wrist check. Oh, wow, you went and dug that one out.
Yep.
Cool.
I was like, well, it was kind of slow or fast or whatever, but it's been sitting downstairs for like years, so I'll just take it back.
It was running too hot, so what I need to do is I either need to probably weaken the bridle on the mainspring so it doesn't grip as hard. I mean, the only other thing I could think, but this is extreme, is to oil the top and bottom pallet pivots, but I don't like oiling pallets. We look like we're on the Titanic, like we're going sideways? I don't know. All right, man, let's go for it.
Okay, actually, can you pause it?
I'd be happy to. It's the rain.
Yeah, my hair is bugging me.
Yeah, we've got, gosh, almost 80% humidity here.
Oh, it's usually 0.
Yeah, it's usually 0. We're high plains, semi-arid, which is almost desert. So yeah, 80% humidity, that does not happen here.
Nope.
I think that's why everything smells more.
I don't know, my nose is still plugged.
You should wear your hair like more often. I think that looks good.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you know, let's rock and roll.
Okay. For DM Seiko 7A487,000 from Brian W8105, have to ask, what is under-looming?
Oh, I actually have a whole video talking about under-looming, which if I will remember, I will go blink and I'll put up a link on it somewhere, somehow. If you remember. If I remember where it goes. But if you look on my channel for Seiko 8305 or 8306 or Cocktail Time, something like that, there's a thing I talk about how it sort of occurred to me, because that was those models, those OG Cocktail Times, Seiko under-loomed them. So they were fully loomed, but they didn't look like it. because the loom was all hidden. They had these sort of cocktail shaker markers around the outside applied, and then the inside of them, there's loom there, and then the hands were solid, but the underneath was filled with loom. Problem is it didn't work super well because their loom died pretty quick. But I was like, I love JDM watches, but JDM watches almost never come loomed, which is really annoying. I have to have a watch with loom on it. And I remembered the OG cocktail time, and it's under looming, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, we've got better loom now. Let me do it. And it worked. It worked great. So it's under looming is what I call it, is when you're looming the underside of the hands.
You're the first person to do that you know of?
I don't know anybody else that's doing it. Huh? I don't know anybody else that's thought of it. And you can, and it really works. It really does work. I underloomed one of my a couple of my JDMs, I think, like my A346, that thing's beautiful. But when you see it at night, because the hands are farther away, the reflection of the light from the underneath makes it look like the depth is twice as deep. It's actually, it's really kind of cool.
I definitely want this lamp hung upside down.
Oh, right. I thought I had that idea. Mm-hmm. Right. I forgot I thought I had that idea. Yeah, that's done. I can certainly do it. What was the other thing I was going to do? There was some other thing I was going to get up on a ladder and deal with.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I spent the last week doing every kind of refinement possible on a tiny little side bench that I sort of slapped together in 20 minutes. And then I spent almost a week finishing it perfectly. And underneath my perfect bowling alley smooth top, you can see all the weird screw holes and the mismatched putty that I use because I was just putting the whole damn thing together. But now it has character.
It does. And it has a W in it.
That it does. What was I going to do over here?
We were going to go in that trunk.
Yeah, we were going to go in that trunk. I had to hang this light upside down. Oh, I still need to frame around that. That just would not take me that long to frame around that power panel.
Yeah, and you need to frame Willow's, a shelf in the wall.
If I haven't done it in 13 years, I'm not going to do it now. Eventually, it's just you can say, I'm going to get to it. But you know what? You always could. The only time you'd be able to prove that I wasn't going to get round to it was when, I was, not around to do it.
Hang on.
If I was in the Poconos. What was I doing over here? In any case, I love the underlooming. I think, I don't know, I'm not really going to take credit for it, obviously, because it's Seiko's idea. I don't know why nobody else thought of it.
What?
Underlooming.
Oh, God.
Do you want to put your phone on silent or something? Who's yelling at you?
Nobody's yelling at me.
Are you talking?
Sadie hates making burritos.
Then why is she doing it?
Because I asked her to. Because they're hard to, roll or whatever, and things fall out. Because I was like, how come your burritos have been getting smaller and smaller and smaller? And she keeps not putting a ton of stuff in it, so that's why it was only chicken. And I was like, you're supposed to put rice and beans and stuff in it. So she asked me if I could come and put the stuff in, then she can, assemble or something. And I'm like,
sorry. We'll figure it out, folks. Don't you worry.
Yes.
Hang on. Well.
Okay.
No, I like these glasses. I don't mind them.
And they did. Ones.
I know, me too. But these aren't that out of fashion at all. When I was at the optometrist place, I was looking at their glasses, and they brought back some really funky 70s and 80s style glasses that, frankly, I'm amazed people are wearing. But a lot of it is a lot of chunky Wayfarer stuff and things of this outline.
Okay. On the Seiko 7828 7049 from Michael Keats 1313. It's interesting seeing a quartz watch being serviced. Great work.
Yeah, it's fun. They're just watches. They're just watches. It's really cool. One of the wacky ones. This one we were just looking at is a 7A, and they're just marvels of engineering, and they're really solidly built. And they're all metal and they're jeweled, which is something that a quartz watch does not need at all, which is really weird and you'd think would be counterintuitive, but Seiko makes their quartz watches almost completely out of plastic, all the movements, all the wheels. Well, the wheels themselves will be metal, but like all the associated gear trains that go out to the different functions on the analog quartz chronograph, they're all plastic. And it works just fine because the trains are unstressed. They don't have to like carry weight. They don't have to carry pressure constantly being put on there. They just get a single click from the stator motor, and that's it. And it just runs a little impulse through. Starting, and by the way, those things, they start from they run through the seconds hand.
Did your brain just die? You were like, at that.
No, I wanted to run through to make sure that was correct, so I was looking through the wheels.
Okay.
All right.
Video for the 6217 7000 from Eric Shearer 3505. My coworker has a Seiko World Time with London and Paris at the same place. I believe I heard you once say that was only a 2-year thing.
I don't remember. I thought it was interesting because a lot of people talk about, the rare error dial where you have Paris and London are on 2 different things because there was an experimental 2-year window when they were not having daylight savings or something about that. I don't remember. And I had heard that was only 2 years and then it was corrected after that. What's weird is that I almost never, I can't remember seeing a non-error.
Okay.
But that's on the 6117s, but it's weird that, people say that the non-error is rare when that's what I normally see is the other one. But I could be wrong. In the 6217, I'll have to look at it and get back to you. I just don't have the right answer.
From Scarred Hands Reviews. Hi, Spencer. Can Seiko bring back the 5-sport speed timer?
I'm sure they could. Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I'm going to put in a few pictures right here of Seiko's, the reissue that Seiko did of their 70-meter sport divers, the very first ones they ever made. I mean, you looked at it and you were like, wow.
Oh, yeah, the new one?
Yeah, the new one. And I'm like...
I was really surprised at... that I'm so used to their limited edition throwback things being like, huh? So when I saw that, I was like, hey, now that...
Yeah.
So I was wondering if maybe someone at the Seiko factory, they actually do watch his videos and they're like,
we don't want to get whacked.
We don't want to get whacked by this crazy American.
He says he's going to hit us with a flat wooden stick marked with numbers. I don't know. Here, I'll put some pictures into that thing because frankly, I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. Somebody was selling one on the Reddit watches for sale subreddit. Oh. Hang on. Moving onward. Oh, wait. Reissues. I never answered the question. They absolutely could. No question whatsoever. They absolutely do it. I bet they could not only do it, I bet that they could look over the movements and figure out stuff that maybe they could have done better and improve it. Hopefully not cheapen it. But they could do a 1-to-1 recreation, no problem. Absolutely. They just don't want to.
Okay, about the 4004 battery change.
Yes.
Ella Bay Forever. Hi, Spencer. Would love to hear your thoughts. Which are better brands of watch batteries that you have encountered and used? Probably the most important thing anyone can do to a quartz watch is choose a battery for it, as a bad battery choice can be the death of a quality watch. Must break your heart seeing good watches damaged by bad batteries.
Oh my God, you have no idea.
Oh, and it looks pretty nasty.
A lot of the, well, here, let me say this first. I use silver oxide, right? Energizer. I use Energizer. Seiko batteries are, of course, great, but I've used Energizer for just the beginning. A lot of Seiko's early LCDs, the ones that were really expensive, like Isaac Hayes. He wore an 0634 or 5009. It's this gorgeous chunk of beautifully machined metal, very, very 70s. But with its, just it's 4-digit LCD and it's a chronograph. And they were really expensive in their day. They were way more expensive than a Rolex. But it's really, really hard to find any of those, 0624, 063, any of those early LCDs in any kind of usable condition, because the batteries always leaked, always, and they're almost always destroyed. So yeah, use the right stuff. Look at that. I know, man. How's that look?
Great.
Normally my hair doesn't stay places when I move it, but humidity, I guess, is like a thing.
And yes, he's lived places with lots of humidity. So no one needs to tell him about humidity.
I'm getting the points going on there.
The frig are you doing?
What do I know? I never get to move my hair and have it stay places. Normally it's just like really crappy steel wool.
Okay. Video about the SKXA35.
The Bumblebee.
Oh, yay. From issue 4th, I love listening to your ideas about what helped change certain components. If there was a long-term Seiko engineer at a watch show, I would love to see you pimp him, her for answers and have them answered with your enthusiasm.
I would just be so mortally terrified of just saying something idiotic about something basic that I should have known better about. My base of knowledge about this stuff is, I think incomplete is a generous. If I was up against a real Seiko engineer, the real deal,
I know, but as long as you
I'd
don't
get spanked.
Well, no, but as long as like a person doesn't go up like a blowhard, I mean.
I don't know, man. I can't figure that out. I would just want to be very careful and listen very much. I would never actually go in front of a Seiko engineer and say, "Here's where you bastards screwed up." I mean, if I was asked, I would certainly talk about it. But I mean, if they want my opinions, they know. Well, they probably have never heard of me. But if for some reason they somehow managed to hear of me and then saw the video despite their busy schedule, and for some reason wanted to engage with me, a tiny watchmaker in a little corner of the world, I would really wonder how they deal with their time allocation.
Okay. Too old for two wheels, 2048. Looks like a transition between the 7002 and the SKX with that dial configuration.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I love my 7002. It keeps insanely good time, even if its amplitude isn't great, but if I keep it on, it keeps phenomenal time. Far better than my SPB 213J1. Desperate to find a good dial for it though. Mine is a cheap repro as the original was trashed when I got it. The loom on it is too green and it looks poor. Appreciate any pointers.
7002s, their dials suffered badly. And that was at a time too when they were being made. It was the worst possible time to be a mechanical watch. Well, actually the 80s were, but because people wanted quartz watches. They didn't want mechanical watches. Hang on just one second. Let me make sure I didn't skip ahead of one of his things. The dials, those dials, they got hurt a lot, especially the hands. And so it's really hard to find an original dial. Long story short, you're pretty much only going to find one inside a good watch. I have dozens of those dials and they are all roasted. I mean, to one degree or another. I don't have one truly usable dial from those things. They're either really, really good or they're just garbage. So look for a better watch. That's not a great answer, but it's the thing. Oh, and that dial design started with the slim case 6309s, which came out like 83, 84.
Why are you asking me?
I don't know. But because, I mean, you stay up late reading watch stuff just like me.
Oh, absolutely.
All the time. But anyways, that dial, 6309 slim case, and that went to the 7002. They kept that look, and then they kept that look again with the SKX 173s and stuff like that.
Patrico9170, great video.
Thank you.
Why is the Seiko 7S26A considered to be better than, say, a Seiko 7S26C movement?
And I put Aaron Costello's answer on there.
Oh, okay, so you don't even have to
Right,
answer?
I put it on there specifically.
Well, can I read it?
Oh, sure, please.
Seiko changed the balance to make the movement more accurate, and it became somewhat less durable and more prone to shock damage as a result. The 7S26B is actually the worst, as the C corrected most of the B's issue while still being more accurate than the A.
Yeah, Aaron Costello. What?
Well, no, I'm just like, okay, so they had the A and it worked fine, and then they tried to improve it and they made the B, but it made it worse, so then they made the C to fix everything with the B.
And you know,
but is the A still better, or is the C better?
I love the A. I think the A's are great.
Why'd they do that?
I don't know. The A's are the last ones, the last of the 7000 series that used the original balance and balance bridge and everything, and escape wheel and pallet fork bridge, all the way from the first 7000s all the way up through SKX. And so it was, I don't know, it's just one of those things. But those first balances, last used in the A's, they were made the old way with a fixed stud. And I mean, they're just, it's more idiot proof. It's a solid, more solid standard design. The other kind with the two adjusters, like 2 fingers and 2 fingers, with this, it has a specific name, cron something. It's a different kind of, the idea being, I think that it helps you continue to, you can really fine tune a balance doing that, but they're never done right. Every single one I've seen with those later C-type balances, they always have beat error. They're always kind of funky. They're not accurate. But like that first gen type, the real 7002 type, I wouldn't call them more accurate. I mean, the 7002 movements, I can get ridiculous numbers out of all these 7000 series, and they all use that old balance. So knowing Seiko, it had something to do with saving a little bit of money. I'm not sure what kind of money that might be. Maybe it was more expensive to produce the stud and then pin it to the hairspring, which is the old way to do it. And I think the new way, they're just glued on.
Okay. Okay, now from the mail call we did those weeks ago. Sven Huguenots. Hi, Spencer and Sabrina. Question for next mail call. I'm working on a Seiko 3863. The second hand often spins when setting the time. With a mechanical, I think that happens when the pallet stones don't engage the escape wheel properly. But what is it causing this in a Quartz watch?
Okay, well, I actually pre-planned to have a segment that I'm going to insert here because I have the servicing guide for those watches, those 3800 series watches. And it doesn't talk about that specific thing to troubleshoot, but I think I have some answers that might help. Maybe you're wild. So you are talking about, you adjust the time, the hand spins really quick, right? Okay. Obviously, this one's in perfect working condition. So obviously that is not correct, what you were describing. So let's go, and I want to look at the service data sheet. Before we're going to start, fiddling and thinking, let's look at the servicing guide and the parts list. This stuff is always useful. Just a bit. There's our technical guide, and it has all the, how it's supposed to look, things to check, all your numbers, movement structure. It talks about how these watches are, they're sort of built by in cartridges. You have coil block as one assembly, motor block, this is the stepper motor that makes it go tick, 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 tick. And you drop this stuff in almost as a pre-construction. And these things have dia fixed top and bottom. There is, by the way, you can see the cross angle here of that battery hatch. Battery, snap-on case back, battery hatch. That's pretty neat. It shows you how the circuit block works.
basic math, how to use a tester. What am I looking at here? Here's your breakdown of parts. Isn't that neat? Yeah, these are really cool. So like this is a drawing of the train, right? And in order to get that precise tick, 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 it actually has something that I first saw with Bulova Accutron. This is the jumper, and it stops the gear from turning every second. This spring hand, or extension here, literally is holding a jewel. It's almost like a pallet jewel, and it's on a little spring, and it stops the wheel very, very smartly. Okay, so the way that this works, the driving circuit, the way that quartz watches work, they kind of work backwards. Instead of a mainspring driving all these wheels basically from behind, you have, this is the stepper motor. Every single click, it turns to this transmission wheel, and then that's the center seconds hand. So the whole motor, the whole train is driven through that center seconds hand, right? But, okay, so you've got a cannon pinion somewhere, right? Right there in your minute hand, there's your cannon pinion. So if you start twisting this because you want to change the time, you're turning this. If it's gripping too hard and it doesn't slide, what's going to do is it's going to push a bunch of power back through. And if that's not, this would spin. I don't know that that's the right thing, though. Do the hour and minute hands work? Do those move too? I guess that would be our first question. Really makes a whole lot of sense, except if the second setting lever is bad or not adjusted correctly. If the second lever is bad, what it's not doing is it's not holding the train. It's a quartz watch movement. It's always going to want to go. So the second setting lever makes the watch stop. When you pull the crown, it's the hacking. So if this is not making that stop, then the gear train is essentially free to turn. So that, I think, is your issue. That's the first thing I would check to see if that's adjusted correctly. Yep, that's what I'd look at. That's what I'd look at first. Okay.
To have a representative benchmark, this is a 3800 watch. This is a 3803. They're super high quality movements. Super, uber high quality movements. They're amazingly beautifully made. So this one, by the way, is for sale on the website. And it has a bracelet. I just have to find it. These are so cool. And this thing, like I said, it's fully serviced. What a watch. Anyway, onward and upward.
Ryan Walters.
Hi, Ryan Walters.
Hey guys, Spencer, a little while back, somebody bought the 0842 5010 Quartz Beauty with the silver dial and had you service it.
Mm-hmm.
I just bought a 0842 5010 with a beautiful brown snowflake-like dial and went to put a battery in it, but the crazy tiny case design makes it difficult to do. I wonder if you could make a video on how those tiny cases are put together and disassembled for things like a battery change.
I'd be happy to. Believe me, it's a great subject. I don't think I've ever actually, nobody's ever asked about that.
Have one?
Oh, sure. Gosh, I've got tons of them. Well, because Diney used the same design for those casebacks, those early battery casebacks for LCDs and quartz watches, all the way up to like the M159s and the Pan Ams. They all use that same design. But anyway, yeah, here, let me put it into segment.
Okay, casebacks. Now, I'm sure almost everybody is familiar with how normal casebacks look. There is a normal caseback. It's a screw down, 6-lug, standard old government issue, screw down, flat caseback. Now, before they had these, Seiko was worried about water resistance because that was one of their big deals. And they hadn't, I don't know, these were high current consumption pieces And I guess they didn't want people going into the movement, so they built them with a battery hatch. I noticed, like on old LED watches, they not only have a battery hatch, they have two of them because they ate up batteries so quickly. These draw a lot of power, and it's not significantly less, but it's definitely less. Whatever, that's the thought. So just to give you a sense of what we're looking at, where are we? There we go. So what you're going to see, you've got the battery hatch, and then you have this diddly. This is different, by the way, than the Sua design. This is more like a Dynie did this as much. Normally, what you're supposed to be able to do is just get yourself a penny or something and open this up. This is the actual official tool, S822. And it's got, set for a number of different kinds of spacers, like so. Boop. Let's see. But let's try this one. So when you're going to replace a battery, in theory, and you got to look at, this stupid thing with the lock and the thing, close. Okay, close. So I got to get that over there to open. These little battery hatches now look at this. That turned pretty easily. A lot of times with these, you can't turn them at all. No, look at that, open. So here's the official handy dandy Seiko tool for these casebacks for the different variants. Big, wide, 2-tine, a smaller one, and then this. You can also use a penny. So we've got to get this from, the mark is there, and you open it this way, and it stops here. I find, by the way, that it's easier, instead of going like this and trying to turn, give yourself some extra leverage, and if you turn the watch, that actually will work a little better. Sorry that if you can't see that right here. That is what I'm going to do. It also means that you're putting your force just holding this thing straight, not trying to turn and twist at the same time, which makes it easier to slip and scratch, which we don't want. Nobody wants that. Okay, it's definitely in the right position. I should be able to get that off, right? Right? That's the right position, right? So you see the problem. You can't get this out. So what are you going to do? Well, you go to plan B. And that is you can pop the back off. There's the inside of the battery hatch. Let's see, yeah, and this one's loose. Yeah, this one's a screw down, which is much nicer. Whereas this is this crazy 2-tine. Okay, so you've done this thing. You can't get your two-way little back thing to open up. You say, darn it. So you're going to look for the fingernail cutout to pop the case back off. It's right here. I need to sharpen this. Just steady, straight, firm pressure. You don't have to rock it or twist it or anything. Just straight in. That's what she said. Okay, so we can't get our battery hatch out, so let's see what we got. There it is. Okay, why aren't you coming out? What in the heck is your damn problem? Okay, so what we've got going on, and this is what happens with these. These things come, the gaskets for these things are these little things. Seiko really tried to make them waterproof. But they get really gummy, and they become you can push it out from the inside, but there's like no way to lever it out from the outside. You're supposed to get some pressure from the inside from the battery being sprung back up, but that's great in practice, but I'm sorry, in theory, but in practice, I've never seen it work. And there's your case back seal. That one's old. I don't think I've ever popped the back off this one. Very, very interesting. Bet you 100 Schrute bucks that this thing runs. These things take a 301. I didn't want to dig around and get a 301, so this is just a used battery. It's out of the package, but it's the right diameter. So let's see. I don't think I've ever tried a battery in this watch. You see. Here we go. Look at that. And Seiko was so proud of that. It's absolute precision. 1 tick per second. Precise. These are cool. They had nice bracelets too. These are the 4004s. Yeah, because they've got a jumper on the minute wheel, and it makes it just snap. And I think these, sorry battery, I think these have triple language, right? Friday. Yep. Okay. English, French, Spanish. That's a cool watch, huh? All right, well, that's what you do. That's the thing.
Okay, so True Blue Miata. I recall reading that stainless steel forms a microscopic layer of oxidation that seals the metal and prevents visible rust. As you know, stainless steels will rust given the right or wrong conditions. There are also steel alloys that do this with a protective visible layer of rust that doesn't need to be painted. We have a railroad trestle in town made of this alloy. Looks like a crust bucket, but been this way for decades.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And you can see, I mean, as I've shown, I don't think I've actually really made a video about it, but it is amazing. You can take, a stainless steel watch case or really whatever metal you want, and you look at it because you run it through all the cleaning cycles and it's like immaculately clean. It's surgically clean. It looks awesome, right? You drop it into like a detarnishing solution and you bring it back out and it's like, which means it's just the non-oxidized stainless steel that you're seeing, which means it'll go away again. Okay, so what do we got?
Let's restore a $28 watch, 1980s Vostok.
Yeah, Vostok, one of those Commandeersky, like, rotating ring diddlies.
Design BAM 780. Dude, you are king. Making Vostok to run 0.1 B error and plus 5 seconds a day is a marvel.
I don't know. I mean, I remember that movement as being pretty nice. The only thing that I thought was really old school and kind of weird was the fact that you had to shim the balance. There were a couple shims in there and you could take those out. It's an odd, I guess they didn't have the precision needed to drop the balances or exactly where they needed to be. And so they were using very thin metal shims. I mean, that seems like I don't understand. There are other ways to deal with that. I don't know. It's funky. I don't know why they did that. That's the only answer that I don't have. But I remember the movement as being fine. Dual mainsprings. I mean, that's super cool. I'm still impressed with that. I still think that's cool. I've forgotten, actually. I was thinking about if I could find one of those older Vostoks. I don't know that I really want to be, thinking about being associated with, Russian technology right now. But
you proved that Americans are better because they can make a trash watch work so well.
No, but it's not a trash watch. That's what I'm saying. The movement was fine. The casing was kind of suspect. The casing was that's one thing that Seiko just excels at is their casing. Their casings are always good.
And I mean, they're really, really tight and they're simple. Nobody beats them in the casing department. Not anybody that I'm aware of. And Vostok casing was even less good than others that I've seen. But, you know, the dial was kind of cheaply made, and whatever the varnish was, it aged strongly. It didn't look bad. The paint was pretty good. I had to refill the paint plots on that one. But the movement, I think it's fine. I should get another Vostok. I really should.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to see what those are about.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it. And dinner's done.
It is?
Yes, and I'm very hungry.
Okay, well, we're going to go eat dinner. Bye, folks. Thanks for watching.
Okay, last one from the Let's Restore a $28 watch.
That's the old video I made about that Vostok.
From Design Bam 780. Dude, you are king. Making Vostok to run 0.1 error and plus 5 secs a day. He's a marvel.
Yeah, no, no. What did he? No.
Can you take that out?
Huh? Okay.